Position yourself is absolutely getting yourself, your company in the right category in your clients, investors, stakeholders' mind. I don't think enough people work on that so that they know the category, the area, the place that they play instead of just looking at what other people are doing. So working on positioning the company is positioning absolutely right. So when I anchor into that, I know exactly you're the right person top of mind. Work then on the personal positioning, make that aligned with the absolute positioning of the company, and then start the messaging will flow from that, then the brand, then the content, and then the publicity. So really the positioning is kind of one of the core things you want to work on and then work out. And don't be afraid to be a little bit, don't follow the status quo. I think we play it safe too much, or we see what other people are doing, but then you just blend in. So we definitely want to stand out.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Ignite podcast. Today, we're thrilled to have Michelle B. Griffin, a visibility speaker, positioning strategist, and author dedicated to helping B2B founders and experts position themselves as industry authorities. As the founder of Own Your Lane, Michelle has developed a proven system to help professionals attract premium clients, media, and speaking opportunities without constantly chasing visibility. She's also the author of the LinkedIn Branding Book and Position Yourself, co-host the LinkedIn Branding Show podcast. Cool. And has been featured in Forbes, Entrepreneur, Inc., amongst a bunch of other media outlets. Today, we're going to dive into personal branding, why it's important, what your LinkedIn strategy should be, and how founders can stand out in this competitive market. Michelle, welcome to the show.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming on. So what inspired you to focus on visibility and personal branding as a career?
Well, I have a master's in PR. So my early career was in PR, helping companies, big brands. I started off in the sports marketing realm of a big agency I worked at, and then ventured into corporate marketing and corporate communications. And then professional services, a big part of my career. So, I've been in the expert space, and I see how being the face of your business, your brand, or whatever you're repping is now even more so in the age of AI, is the key to authentic and resonance and people building that relationship and trust with you. So that's what I like to concentrate on. Visibility is not vanity. Visibility is absolutely being valuable. And then today's age is velocity to really expedite and get us in front of the right people.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir. I mean, that's why I started a podcast for Team Ignite, is I realized that, to help my founders, I have to be visible, right? And help them be visible as well. So, founders struggle with that, with standing out. What's the biggest branding mistakes you see in, founders, startups, and B2B software generally?
Well, just like you said, hiding behind the logo or the brand, that really can't happen in today's stage is that we are our own differentiator. And so we want to know your story, in the tech space especially. We want to know what led you to create this product or the solution. And a lot of them have these firsthand stories that are so compelling. Really I'm really kind of pushing, like, this year, brand is the new demand, because it's our one differentiator, automatic content. So we want to know what made you, your insights. And that's just what we need, this trust, relatability to help you stand out. Because if you look at a lot of B2B stuff, they all sound the same, right? A lot of the products do the same. So what is the way that we can really stand out, connect with the right people? And I want to stress the right people. We want to attract the right people. And that's exactly. Now, I guess a lot of it's hiding behind it. I get the whole confidence thing, or, why do I need to be out? Our work is good. Well, that absolutely will help your business, your bottom line, and the expertise that you bring is going to absolutely be the defining thing against your competition. So I think also thinking that your work speaks for itself. Absolutely. It can't anymore.
Oh, that's really interesting. So you have something called Own Your Lane. Maybe you could tell us what that is, what the core pillars are, and how they might apply to startup founders.
Yeah. And so my consultancy now is I do speaking and advising, strategic advising to founders, experts. And last year, I've actually developed this framework a long time ago, and I made it super simple for 4 steps this last past year, because we're all so busy, right? So it's really considering like a thought leadership framework. A lot of people define what thought leadership is. And let's caveat here, a lot of people misuse it and it just guises as content marketing. So I really wanted to help founders, experts, those I work with, get that strategic framework and foundation in place. So I'll walk you through it really quick. It's own your lane, right? You're going to own your unique lane. Else is launch your vision. What is a vision you, your company, all the things want? And then I add something called your professional purpose, right? What is the purpose of me and our organization and all the things? That's going to absolutely be your North Star to get out there. It's going to be that brand connection. So we absolutely define your goals and the purpose and why you're doing that. Then we get into assert your edge, your unique edge factors, that point of view, that absolute differentiation. And we absolutely have to have that. We can't just say we're the best or we have great tech or whatever. That's table stakes. So we really work with the founders, the experts to see their unique takes, start developing their thought leadership angles. We work on that. A lot of times we'll have some kind of unique angle or lens that they see things that they can get out there and start talking. And that brings us to navigate your presence. We want to absolutely make sure your brand, your messaging, your positioning is aligned across online, offline, and especially LinkedIn, because that is where business conversations happen. So we want to make sure you are as awesome as you are in LinkedIn, on and offline, online. And then we get to E, and this is where I really bring in my PR background, because I really find diversifying our visibility streams with speaking, industry panels, podcast guesting, media mentions, all these things absolutely build that thought leadership credibility. And I've even worked with some founders who are writing their own books or doing things like that, as it, everyone's a little bit different, but these core holistic foundations will absolutely help you develop that thought leadership, that authority brand, and be that distinguishing difference that you and your company needs.
What are some tactics? That's some pretty good high level strategy, but like,
Mhm.
should every founder have a podcast about their business? Should every founder be writing thought leadership pieces? Like, what are some of the tactics that you see work to
Not
develop your brand?
everyone, yeah, well, not everyone should. It'll obviously depend on you, what you're comfortable with. I know some people are better at audio, some are videos, some are writing. So first you're going to see what leans into you. It's got to be sustainable, right? For you, or if you have a team, or you can outsource that. So we want to have some kind of platform at least to communicate something, right? And that's going to be your comfort level, time level, all the things. We're going to look at that first in a real practical level. Now, if you can't have a podcast, you know what the next best thing is barring other people's audiences, is the guesting. One of the best ways to get really niche into the right people. So I would look into something like that. And, you got to find what works for you, and also your time constraints. Nothing is worse dipping the toes out there and then never coming back. So I'd rather have someone start a little bit slower but consistent than all in and then you never hear from, because you're going to it's going to compound over time. So like for you started a podcast because obviously you're comfortable with that, and it's a video podcast too, which is extremely good because now you have both ways to promote this content. Substack's another good way. That's another growing area as LinkedIn's algorithm reach goes down. I'm not saying don't get on LinkedIn. You should have a really optimized profile, but there's absolutely other ways. I know founders that are speaking and they're getting, a good ROI on that. So it just depends. So I would say look into what works best for everybody.
Yeah. How has personal branding evolved in the age of AI driven marketing?
Well, it's obviously the real stuff is definitely more needed than ever. The thing is, as AI creeps into every facet of what we can do with it, there's fake videos. It can just overtake your voice, your videos, your headshots. And so I really see, I love AI, don't get me wrong, but I don't want us to lose the human connection factor. I personally, I know some people say for accessibility, I have a problem. I've been pitched so many times on LinkedIn. Well, people say, you do personal branding. We do personal branding AI videos where it'll basically just clone the entire you and you're just talking. And I have a problem with that. It's like, why show up? At some point, but it's actually needed more than ever. So we need you to come out from behind the logo, from behind the profile, either whatever way you're comfortable with, but be the real thing. And especially in person, if possible, events, the human connection in person, that's really making a comeback in the last several years after the pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah. The in-person events, especially as everybody works remote, like maybe
Yeah.
can talk about that a little bit. How is, pre-COVID versus post-COVID, and the kind of the rise of remote work. I mean, Team Ignite's a remote first company. A lot of I would say the majority, I don't know what percentage of founders we back are remote first startups now. It just seems to be the kind of de facto standard.
Oh, I absolutely believe for cost, for flexibility, absolutely. I do both myself. But just this year, I went and pitched and got into a growth accelerator myself as I, scale my business, because I need to be around other people. So I think a blend, a hybrid of doing your remote work, but, depending on the company, have have in-person days or events, or go to industry events where you can all have an on-site before or after, and just build the team, because there's nothing like it. Remote is incredible for the flexibility, but I feel like the old school in person, at least once or twice a year, depending on it, it's going to ignite you and recharge your team. If you make it an experience, not just, a meeting, it's an experience. So I think that it's the best of both worlds, if you will.
So you've talked about storytelling and building an authoritative brand. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. I mean, you go on LinkedIn and there's a lot of people, personal branding gets a misused bad rap. And I've always said, I'm not into the fluffy. I just want the foundational stuff. I always have made an authority-led brand where you're sharing your expertise for solving problems and transformation, coupled it with your tech product or whatever. It's the absolute best way to show that, the trust, the building relationships, the first case personal thing. When we learn your stories, how you built this product and all the things, we as humans, especially in AI, we want to know more about all that. And so sharing a nice blend of your expertise, how you see things, a nice blend of your backstories, how you built it, how you're showing up, how the team's doing it, that lends all to the collective case for, brand is your connection, is your perception. And so I think more of that. Now, I work with people who say, Michelle, all I want to do is just talk about the product or the expertise, and I don't want to talk about myself. And I say, fine, you don't have to. But you don't have to be personal. But how about being personable? Let us show just a little bit of the side. And what I'd like to do is encourage clients to just tell us a story and how they got it or behind the scenes. And they're a lot more comfortable with that, because when you say personal branding, that word personal, it gets a lot of people.
So you've wrote a lot about LinkedIn. I mean, you even wrote a book about it called the LinkedIn Branding Book. Why do you believe LinkedIn is the most powerful platform for founders?
And I also have the weekly LinkedIn branding show I co-host as well. So we're at 150 plus episodes of that. It's, to quote LinkedIn HQ's marketing lingo, it's the place to B2B, it's where business conversations happen. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to go post or check it out, but this is where, like, the water cooler, right? People are going to go check you out. When we Google you, we want to check you out. We're going to Google your profile is going to come up. So we want to make sure at the very least your profile matches exactly who you are, what you're up to. It hasn't been left with digital dust. So it is absolutely there. But also that I have myself and my clients, we get, media mentions, and media are in there more than ever, because Twitter imploded and now it's X or whatever. Speaking, podcasting. I mean, that's how you and I met. It's a wonderful place to mix, and depending on your comfort level, posting, showing up, commenting. And when you go to events, just reach out and build that, proverbial Rolodex. Back in the day, they used to call it. So, so you got to have a presence there, a stake in the ground there that's current.
So you describe some tactics like commenting and posting. And what are some underused strategies on LinkedIn where founders can gain visibility?
Now, a lot of them, if you don't want to do content, I get that. I would try to at least do once a week to do at least a share. If you can reshare something, right? That triggers the algorithm that you're active. So it's going to help you be seen by more people. Also, if you don't want to do posts, even thought leadership or some stuff from your company that's relevant, you can make an article. These articles are very searchable by Google, and also sometimes even on ChatGPT and AI search. So having some thought leadership in the form of even a newsletter or an article are really good. I found so many people doing research just on LinkedIn articles that
A question on articles. So do you find it's better to have, like a WordPress? There's lots of different options to write articles, right? You could have your own WordPress, you could have a Substack, you could have a WordPress on your own website, and then you could also just write it directly on LinkedIn. They have articles as well. Like what's the best way to maximize reach?
You can do both. You can absolutely do both. You can even have a newsletter, branded newsletter, if you're going to be, kind of current as once a month. You can do an article or newsletter. So it just depends on, how consistent you're going to be. I've seen people write articles on LinkedIn. They pop up and search really highly. And you can also have it continue in Substack or, tease either out. Substack is just such a growing hot spot right now. I highly recommend. It's where a whole new crop of people are going. Check that out if you can. It even has podcasting in there. They're just growing it so much. It was like the medium of 10, 15 years ago, but even more progressive. LinkedIn. Okay. So LinkedIn articles, commenting. Now I know this is the thing. This is a catch-22. A lot of clients will say, Michelle, I can't comment because people will swarm me and all this stuff. So I get it. So it just depends on your comfort level and your industry and your role too, because I work with people in corporate, and those are usually the people who can't comment or don't want to comment. People will
Yeah, I
swarm
mean,
them.
sometimes they have, if they're a publicly traded company, they got to be really careful what they say, so they're not,
Yes,
violating securities laws. But
exactly.
I don't see any reason that a founder shouldn't be out there super active. Most good founders, not necessarily good founders, but a lot of founders and VCs I know are on X, Twitter, what you
Hmm.
might call. How do you think about those two platforms? Should you be on both, or try to specialize in one or the other?
Well, I personally just use LinkedIn. I've had a Twitter account since like 2005 or something. I don't know,
Yeah,
forever,
me
but I
too.
never really used
Yeah,
it. I never got into Twitter. That was just me. Everyone's different, right? I know some people
yeah.
love it. I haven't checked it out. I know a lot of people have signed off on it. LinkedIn has just been tremendous for me. I
My
built my
problem with
entire,
Twitter is it's always been snarkier.
yeah, yeah.
Like I think on LinkedIn, it's much more how you would talk to your colleagues at work
Yeah,
around the
like the
water
water
cooler.
cooler, the
Yeah, you're
cafeteria,
just like
or
more
the,
respectful and
yeah,
professional, and
yes.
Twitter just turns into kind of like who can be the snarkiest,
Yeah, we don't need that in this day and age. That's why I've always loved LinkedIn. And it gets a bad rap like, oh, it's too sugarcoaty. Well, I'll take sugarcoat over snark any day. Okay. There's always going to be someone who complains about something. So whatever.
Yeah.
But I have truly built my business. My clients have built their business, gotten media opportunities, speaking. I mean, just by being on LinkedIn. And even though like the reach is, we won't lie, the reach is down. They have turned off most organic, but it's still the place you go and network. You spend even just a little bit of time a day. Okay. Make that daily investment. I don't know about you, but sometimes we'll find ourselves scrolling, you know, social feeds just out of boredom or don't want to do something, raising my hand. And if you can just take that amount of time and say, I'm going to set the clock and just go do something on LinkedIn to keep that visibility. And I'm saying that LinkedIn likes one post a week, and a reshare counts as that. A comment, a couple comments, however much time you can invest, it is so much better than nothing. Because when people go in your profile, it'll say, so and so hasn't posted ever, or 90 days. It just looks like the wild, empty storefront. So,
How much is too much? Like, is it,
well, more
10
than
posts a
once
day?
a day. Yeah. Well, it's not Twitter, so like
Yeah.
once a day. Back in 2021, I gave myself this challenge. I posted every single day. Now, that was a totally different world even 4 years ago, because the reach was off the charts. And that was even down from like 20, where it was just crazy. I do like 3 times a week right now. And sometimes I'll reshare, but I'll go and comment. I'll just set my clock and just go comment. Now, one of the things, and you can go to our LinkedIn branding show, and we got some really granular, tactical, short episodes. So if you're like, oh, we pretty much have every problem on LinkedIn addressed that you can do. One thing I find, we get trapped in our own little bubbles or echo chambers in LinkedIn. Sometimes you end up being with people like your friends, and it's good, but you need to go out and meet new people, if you will. So one of the best things to do that is to use the trusty search bar. That search bar is the most underrated tool. You can search anything by company, post, events, first, second, and third, location, you name it. Go find some new people, go see who's active, go start commenting, pop on their radar. One other tip, if you start, engaging with people, LinkedIn will push your profile to them. So that's one way to get, in front of them. So
That's interesting. What do you think about all the tools out there like Buffer and Hootsuite? And should you be using those to sort of time and always have like a queue of posts kind of queued up?
I think that helps the busy person, and I need to do that more. LinkedIn has its own scheduler, so you can certainly use theirs. They're going to be very friendly to that. It's free. I think investing, if you want to say, I work with people like, Michelle, I want to start posting. Start small once a week and build up. Don't go all in like, no, we say, I'm going to go to the gym every day. That is not sustainable. So just start small, and then even just schedule it. And I think that'll help you. And then you're going to get in the habit. Maybe the next time or a couple weeks later, I can maybe do 2 weeks. Just schedule it. Just like anything in our life, we build a habit, it'll pay off well. But scheduling is really good. Just that once a share, and you'll stay active. And then one other thing is, update your profile at least once a month, or if you do something good, put it on there. There's so many people I talk to, they're doing incredible things, but their profile does not match it. Look at your profile as your personal brand website. Okay. And all the things, and it's going to tremendously compound. There's so much you can do that we don't need have time to get into, but it is truly where people are checking you out. The media check you out. They're looking for expert sources all the time. So get as really granular on your industry or the area you work in, or the point of view or the lens that you see things. That's going to help the media or scene planners if you're looking for speakers, in this certain area.
Said this a few times now, hiding behind the logo versus getting your face out there. How do you balance that personal versus company branding on LinkedIn?
That's a great question. And we tackle that in the LinkedIn branding book, The Power of Two, because they should work together. Every company should have a company page, because you can absolutely toggle back and forth. You can repost your company stuff, and your company things can repost yours. You can tag each other. So I would put your company pages, you don't have to post on it every day, but you can put some company highlights, posts. They've really decked out the company pages lately. So you can put events, you can put all the things. So people are going to check that out too. So don't leave it as a ghost town, but absolutely keep the profile in tandem with that company page.
And then if you had to just tell a founder to do one thing and one thing only to improve their LinkedIn presence, what would it be?
Start with the profile. Start
Just
with
have
the
a profile.
profile. Before you start commenting, before you start posting, make sure your profile tells the exact story of what you're doing right now. Make sure that first 47-ish characters, absolutely. When I'm running in the busy feed or a comment, I see exactly what you work in or what you do or your industry or something. It gives me an anchor in my mind. It's not just empowering business leaders. You just wasted 47 characters and you blend in with about 50,000 other people. So give me that specificity sells, I guess, if you're going to put it in a nutshell. And so 47 characters, keep that tight. And so we'll be on your radar. So profile first before anything.
So let's talk a little bit about positioning. You talk about attracting, not chasing clients and opportunities. How can startups apply this mindset to investors and partnerships and getting customers?
Position yourself is absolutely getting yourself, your company in the right category in your clients, investors, stakeholders' mind. I don't think enough people work on that so that they know the category, the area, the place that they play, instead of just looking at what other people are doing. So working on positioning the company is positioning absolutely right. So when I anchor into that, I know exactly you're the right person, top of mind. Work then on the personal positioning. Make that aligned with the absolute positioning of the company, and then start, the messaging will flow from that, then the brand, then the content, and then, the publicity. So really the positioning is kind of one of the core things you want to work on, and then work out from there. And don't be afraid to be a little bit, don't follow the status quo. I think we play it safe too much, or we see what other people are doing, but then you just blend in. So we definitely want to stand out.
And any thoughts on kind of personal branding equity? Like, should that be a part of how a startup thinks about creating value? Is creating that kind of brand equity?
Absolutely. I mean, it absolutely compounds over time. So having the brand equity with the founder, it absolutely brings that authenticity, that expertise, and just lends to the credibility of the startup, of the company. I would start now. I mean, it truly is something that you can start and build up from, and it's never too late. And I think that's what people say, well, I didn't do it, it's too late. No, you start now and you just keep building and compounding. It actually gets fun because then you're in the zone and you're like doing this stuff and you're talking about the ideas and the products and solutions, and it's actually a form of personal development. I've said that before. And when I work with people and they get that, aha, this is exactly how I want to show up. This is building me. It's building the company and the team. It's really empowering. And
It
it
becomes
pays off with
fun,
opportunities.
as somebody who's been
Yeah.
posting for years now
Yeah.
for Team Ignite. You start to, I don't know, I think you start seeing connections more
Yes.
around things. You're like, oh, you know what? That'd be really fun to share. Like that thought. And then you kind of maybe write a little post about it, or maybe an article, or you get an idea for a podcast guest, like what we're doing here. And then you just start making more connections the more you post, because I think when you post, you basically, you're thinking about, okay, I'm going to send this out to thousands, tens of thousands, maybe more people than that even. You really got to think about what you're going to say. You don't just haphazardly kind of post it like you would maybe on Facebook to your friends. You're kind of like, okay, let me think about like how I want to position this and talk about the story and talk about what I'm going to say.
When I started posting every day, I gave myself this big challenge to overcome my hesitation. I noticed that too. The more you get out there, the more you do it. It's almost the gift from the universe. Like you're getting out there, comments will become ideas, people's insights. It pops more. Things just start popping. And it's wonderful because you realize I'm here solving a problem. Like this isn't me being fluffy. And that's what a lot of people I work with like initially are scared. Like, no, you're just getting out there sharing your expertise. You're solving problems along with your your solutions and all that and your products. And it just makes life a lot easier, and you get excited and you feel a sense of accomplishment. Like, I truly am doing work that matters and people are responding. And so it's not just the ROI, it's not just the opportunities. It goes down deep to the core of professional fulfillment. And that's a beautiful thing we all aspire to, don't we?
Yeah. And sometimes it could be refreshing too. Like, sometimes when you work remote, like all of us do now, or most of us, you can just have your nose to the grindstone all day, like back to back Zoom calls, just work, filling up everything. Business social media, LinkedIn, Twitter to a lesser extent. You can kind of scroll through and start making some connections, commenting, and it can kind of be almost that 10 or 20-minute respite from your workday. I find a little bit. Hey, I'm just gonna sit here for 15 minutes and shoot the shit with people online.
That's what I do when I don't feel like starting a new project. I'm like, let me just go check out the water cooler, I call it.
Yeah.
I have met some great people, and that's why I say those 47 characters, because you immediately look and go, oh, they're interested in this idea, or they talk about this. So you find that like-minded commonality, and you can meet people. I mean, not just for business, but I met friends, and, we met in real life and stuff. So yes, if you're working remote and things can get a little isolating, LinkedIn is really truly a place to build a community. And I call it LinkedIn University. I've learned so much on LinkedIn. It's almost like you don't have to take courses anymore. People are just giving these insightful things or new ideas and new ways to think about something. I find that fascinating.
I struggle with that as a parent. Like, should my kids even go to college, or should they just go to LinkedIn and just learn what kind of problems people have and go build a business around it?
You could make a strong case for that. Seriously. Yeah. No, but LinkedIn is good. I say, I don't care if the algorithm gave us 1% reach. It is still the place to meet incredible people, be seen. People are going to flock and still be seen and check you out, and then just learn. We have to be more proactive now on LinkedIn versus, it's flowing, because they're doing pay to play. Their premium subscriptions are like a huge part of their annual revenue now. So they're making it harder, but it never abandoned LinkedIn. It is only the launch pad and more. So it's going to be tremendous. So I think that's the main thing for anyone listening right now. If you haven't touched LinkedIn, just make sure your profile looks good. That's the first step. And then you'll feel like, I do that.
Have you heard of Happenstance?
I have, but I have not checked it out. Tell me, have you?
Yeah, they're a portfolio company. We just invested in them. I was really impressed. It's a really great founder. And they built a large language model based people search and network. I don't know if it'll ever replace LinkedIn. I don't know if it aims to do that, but basically you can describe the kind of people you're looking for. Import your LinkedIn contacts, your Twitter contacts, your even your Gmail headers, and it will find people in your network and second degree and third degree connections that are exactly the kind of people you're looking to talk to. It's pretty cool to check out. You can add me there.
I think that I will check it out, because that is one of the limitations. Like I was saying, you tend to get stuck in those bubbles, and there's a billion plus people. And I know there's some good people that we want to meet. So I think that's an excellent product, and I will check it out.
Yeah, add me on there. What's your favorite branding success story from a founder or exec or company you've worked with?
I think those and collectively that just knew they wanted to be more visible and out there, they were hesitant, either by time or whatever. And I get them well positioned. First of all, they got the professional purpose. Like, it's not about me. It's about, this is what I truly believe, or the industry injustice, or what we're solving. And so I get them out there. Right. And then they get really comfortable with that. They look the part, they are. And then they start getting invited to speak and be on guests. And then they're just like absolutely killing it. And I'm like looking, and now they're like, invited to all these industry podcasts in their niche industry and stuff. So I think for me, it's the personal satisfaction when I see my clients. They absolutely, like when they go to meetings or pitches or whatever, they have so much clarity on how they talk about themselves. Let's face it, in the pitch world, pitches can be make or break you and how you talk about yourself. So I get them really clear on that. And then it just ignites. So no pun intended on the podcast, right?
There's that word.
Exactly. And then when I see them, for me, when I see them mentioned in the media on a podcast or speaking on a stage, or within like a week of repositioning them, they're invited to a conference in Europe or something. I don't know. That's just the power of really tight positioning, getting that clarity and owning it.
Yeah, I love that. So a lot of founders and just execs generally will struggle with imposter syndrome. How do you help leaders own that authority and confidence?
Well, I just did a TED talk last week on it at FSU. So it was all about overcoming the judgment monster, told about my story, and I struggled with it too. And I get them, and first of all, I wrote about all this too in the LinkedIn branding book. It really is like, hey, when you know your professional purpose and when you take the focus off of self and you put it to service, this isn't about you. It's about the expertise, your solution, your product that is going to help other people. It immediately flips a switch. So I do the mindset and I get them really clear. So they're like, yeah, I know how to talk about myself. I know exactly. That's a huge booster. When we know I do this and people are like, oh, yeah, tell me more. Right. So that's huge. And so and it's a daily mindset thing. I say, look, I give them a lot of motivation, but they realize, it's not about me. Visibility is not vanity. Visibility is being valuable. And I give them these little mindset shifts. And then I do have retainers, they'll come to me, we're still working. And sometimes I have to like reset them and they're like, oh yeah. So I think I'm naturally motivational, but also very strategic and tactical. So I think that's a beautiful blend we all need, right?
Yeah, it's so funny. This question reminded me, I was on a panel at a conference, and the conference is much larger than I anticipated. So, maybe 1,000 people, and I'm up there, speaking about AI, and I went to take a drink of water. I think I had too much coffee or something, and I'm just like shaking, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to put my water down because I don't think I could take a sip of this water without
Yeah, looking the part, right?
So
And you're
talk
probably
about,
confident, but it just looks like you were unconfident,
yeah, I
right?
was
Or
like, okay, I'm
shaky.
just going to put this water down and have a dry mouth while I answer questions on AI. But
But you know what it is too? When you know your content and you know what you're talking about and you're confident in you're owning what you're talking about, that's a huge booster too. So that's why the mindset thing is and the credibility of your content and ideas.
So there might be some founders out there listening and they're like, okay, should I work with Michelle or not? Like what kind of characteristics or company sizes or are their companies too big or too small? Or like what do you look for and when you take on a client?
No, really, there isn't. It's just a willingness to really want to do that. Really like, you know what? We're done playing small and silent and, behind the scenes. We are so ready to, own our visibility, own what makes us unique, our positioning, really premium position or right positioning ourselves. And so I absolutely love working with the founders who are all in on it. Like they're excited and they're doing the work. So I give them the huge strategy plan, right? And I don't do like pitching for you and writing your content. I either farm out to that or they have teams or whatever. But if they need something like a thought partner, a real person who's going to really one part cheerleader, but I'm also going to help them say, are you sure about that? Because you know what also is too, and it's also from Chat GPT, you'll see it. You don't want someone to yes you. You want someone to say, what about this? What about that? What about this? So I love being that blend. So they're like, wow, I never thought of that. So I bring a whole different lens and perspective and outside thinking is what they really appreciate.
Yeah, I love that. Let's do a rapid fire to wrap up. What's the most underrated skill for building a personal brand?
Being empathetic. I think if you can, and that's not really a skill, I guess that's a quality, but I think skill wise, I would say the ability to just want to be out there. I think that is a willingness to get out there. I think is something that we definitely want to start with.
If you could ban one overused LinkedIn trend, what would it be?
AI comments.
Yeah, that's so funny. What's the most hilarious about AI comments is when you see multiple AI comments, they're exactly the same thing.
Yes. And it's like,
It-
take the rocket emoji out. If you're
That's,
going to do it, take the rocket emoji out, for
yeah,
goodness sakes.
that's so funny. What's the biggest misconception about personal branding?
That it's narcissistic and self promotional. Like I said, visibility is not vanity. Visibility is being valuable. Insert personal branding there or whatever. But it's truly, when done right in the way I do it, it's absolutely for you and your company and for that person.
Who is a founder or leader that you think exemplifies great branding?
I would say I like branding and storytelling, being personable. I've always have a thing for Sarah Blakely because she went to Florida State, my alma mater. And she's so innovative, forward thinking, but she's also giving. She's got 2 companies now and she's hilarious. So I think she's a nice mix of building that personal brand before it was even a thing back in the day, right? So I would say Sarah Blakely.
What's a book or podcast that changed your perspective on branding?
Oh my goodness. That is a question I am totally going to have to think
Besides
about.
your own, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, besides my own. I read it so much, all of them. But the problem is, I almost think reading books outside of my industry help me think more. When I want to think of new ideas, I'll go and look at books in different categories, or I'll even go to bookstores. I will go to bookstores, look at the magazine racks, and I'm inspired that creativity. I don't know. It just helps me. I think getting out of our lane is important to find new ideas and creativity, so we're not just stuck in one rut in one box.
If someone had only 10 minutes a day for personal branding, what should they focus on?
LinkedIn. Just get on LinkedIn for 10
Just get
minutes
on
a
LinkedIn and
day.
do something. Yeah.
Yeah, do something to start with.
Love
Okay.
that.
Just to start with. And then I would say after that, start thinking about how you're going to share that expertise in a bigger way with writing, podcasting, or video, something small.
Yeah. What's the most common LinkedIn mistake you wish people would stop making besides the AI commenting?
Spamming in the DMs. How about that?
Mm.
Like connecting with someone and then just saying, you've gotten them, right? Just
Oh,
like
yeah.
sending me spam messages or, yeah. So just make it a real relationship driven thing, share your expertise. And then I'm going to realize you're the person for me. And I'm going to you'll be my go-to. So the cold pitches, that are irrelevant cold pitches or not doing your due
Yeah.
diligence before you pitch someone, I think is a big one.
Yeah. What's your favorite AI tool for personal branding and content creation?
Probably, well, I have many. So I have 3 AI assistants. I have Fathom.video, probably Fathom.video. Love Fathom.video. I used it 3 years ago before it got even bigger with all the funding. I use it with my calls. I also use Otter.ai. Another one, Audio Pen. I do audio writing, and Audio Pen's a great tool. This guy built, I don't know, he's whatever. Check him out. He's great. But I love Audio Pen because it's audio writing.
So you
Perplexity.
dictate, it's voice to text writing, and that does a
Yeah, it
really good
is.
job
But
of,
you
yeah.
can absolutely set up your project board. And I outline my books. And so when I go on my daily walks, it does 15-minute sections. I'll just ad lib it on this section or this subhead. It'll immediately transcribe it and it can soft write it. You might want to check it out. The guy's doing incredible work. And so I have a lot. I believe AI is wonderful for productivity and thought leadership. It shouldn't replace us, but it can absolutely refine our work. So I do a lot of voice noting and then it'll help me. So I use it sparingly, but it's perfect for that.
It's really cool. I barely type anymore. I basically just
can't type
dictate
either.
everything.
Same here. I'm an audio person. I can't type
Voice to
as fast
text.
or my brain fires so faster than I can type.
Yeah.
That's why I don't even write.
Yeah,
I
you can
audio
speak
write.
at 300 to 500 words a minute.
Oh, yeah.
500 if you're really talking fast, and then you
That's
can.
another thing.
Yeah.
Content from audio is, I'll tell my, not tell, it's like go on a walk or wherever with Otter and just ad lib a topic and you're going to have brilliant conversational tone. No one will accuse you of having AI language or.
Well, and
And
they
it'll
can use
clean it
AI to
up.
kind of polish it up a bit
We'll
too.
polish it
right?
up, but the
Yeah.
first draft is you just blabbing it. Every single one of my clients, they will absolutely just nail their talking. But if you get them to write, and even me too, like we get so trapped. We're not self-censoring or self-editing rather when we do it. So anyway, so that's one takeaway too. Just start audio writing.
Yeah, I
And
love that. I'm
yeah.
thinking about using the podcast Sunday for that too. We have also about 150 episodes, and I could basically, between everything that we've talked about, I could probably just write a book about a variety of topics,
You
because we do a lot
absolutely
of
could.
founders, and then we do a lot of service providers and thought leaders like you that help founders, and then we have a lot of VCs and LPs, and there's a lot of perspectives here. Like, I don't
You know
know.
what you could do? I'm working with a client right now. They're doing 99 ways tips or something. And so you could subhead it different topics and then just take these episodes, transcribe them if you don't already. And then it's just 99 tips or 50 tips. And it's just quick, your ideal audience in a hurry, busy, and they're just going to read these great tips, these great insights, these quotes. And that's easy to put together fast.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
Speaking of AI, how do you see AI impacting personal branding in the next 5 years?
A couple different takes on that. I think it can't replace us and we can't lose our humanity, like our critical reading, writing, thinking. And I have a problem with fake AI taking over videos. Like, what's the point? Okay. But on the other side, AI is tremendous to help us expedite our already amazing voice and, do multi-level content and formats and stuff. So I have a faceted approach, but it's absolutely going to be a help as long as we don't lose our humanity in it.
Love that. What's the first step someone should take if they want to own their lane?
Start with obviously the mindset. You're ready to do it. Okay. Come back. Don't do it till you're ready, but know your stuff's for you. Absolutely start with your professional purpose. All that stuff, we get on that. Then you're like, yeah, I'm getting out there for this because I'm so passionate about solving this problem rather, or for this person. So that today, or even me, sometimes when I don't feel like doing something, I'm like, this isn't about you, Michelle. You are so passionate about hidden experts and founders getting out there and visible, sharing their expertise and their things. Brings me back to square one. The rest we can all figure out. But if you can't be committed and want to realize I'm out there for this, it makes no sense. The rest is just easy once we do it.
Yeah, I love that. Where can folks find you online?
Absolutely. Go to Michelle B. Griffin. That's my central hub for my speaking and my advising, all my podcast stuff. And when my TEDx talk comes out, I'll link to that there. Brand Leaders is the name of my consultancy, but you can find my 2 podcasts, my books, and everything I do. Oh, and I'd love for you, if you hear me or see me, connect with me on LinkedIn. Tell me you saw me here. I would love to connect with you and just, learn. I love connecting with interesting people. So let's do it.
Thank you so much for coming on. Really fascinating.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. And I just wish you and all your listeners all the best.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.